10 years back, the drug price control order was implemented by Government of India by public health movement, especially by All India Drug Action Network. So in short, activism, advocacy are important in public health actions. So today's topic is milestones in people health movement in India with global perspectives. The speaker need no introduction. Our speaker is Dr. B. Ekbal, who is a person who walked along with the public health movement, not only in India, not only in Kerala, India, but world. Professionally, he served in government medical college service as a neurosurgeon, retired as a professor HOD from Department of Neurosurgery at Thiruvananthapuram Medical College. During the period, he served as a Vice Chancellor of Kerala University and member of State Planning Board. And at the same time, he is a forefront of all people science movement in India, especially Kerala Shastra Sahitya Parishad, Medical Friend Circle, JSA, Janaswasthya Abhiyan, and World People's Health Assembly happened in Dhaka as well as South Africa. And I invite Dr. Ekbal to give this talk. And the talk will be followed by interactive session. So requested all audience other than the speaker to mute their audio as well as keep their video off. Ekbal, over to Ekbal, sir.
Good evening, friends. Namaskar. I am indeed extremely happy to be with you this evening to initiate the webinar series with a talk on the milestones of people's health movement at the national level to the global level as part of the 50th anniversary celebrations of Medical Friend Circle. Before I actually delve into the topic, let me refer to our relationship with the Medical Friend Circle. I hope you can see the slides. Jay Krishnan?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, yeah. The Medical Friend Circle, fourth Medical Friend Circle meet was organized in Calicut in 1977 by a small group of activists here in Calicut. Now, I did not attend this meeting. I did not know about MFC at that time. But they came, a few who attended the fourth meeting at the Calicut came to Kottayam. At that time, I was working in the Kottayam Medical College. And when they visited Kottayam at the invitation of Dr. Matthew Kurian, who was a former member of the late Matthew Kurian, who was an economist, late member of the Rajya Sabha. And this small group visited the Indian Institute of Social Science, which was run by Dr. Matthew Kurian. Now, I have to be very frank with you that only when I interacted with the Medical Friend Circle, I came to know about a critical approach to the public health system in our country. Even though I was a member of the Kerala Shastra Sahitya Parishad, the people science movement in Kerala, we were mostly concerned about environmental issues. And as far as health is concerned, as part of science popularization, we used to publish health education pamphlets and distributed among people, but we did not have a critical look at the public health system. But during the conference here, MFC friends brought the In Search of Diagnosis, the book published by them. This was an anthology of the articles published in the Medical Friend Circle Bulletin, and very prominent public health experts and activists articles were published in this book, In Search of Diagnosis. Dr. B. Banerjee, Imrana Khadir, Anand Fatke, and others have written an article in this. Now, we immediately translated this into Malayalam. You can see the Malayalam translation of the book here. Titled Roganirnayatad, In Search of Diagnosis, was translated. And it was through this interaction with the MFC that KSSB and other activists in Kerala came in contact with the People's Health Movement at the national level. So I have to express my indebtedness to MFC for bringing our organization into the People's Health stream in India. And later, the 15th annual conference of MFC was organized in Arua in 1989.
Sorry for interruption. There may be some problem with the network.
Yeah, there's some problem with his connection. Let's hope that he comes back. Yes, sir.
Yeah, it seems.
Sir, you got
something-
disconnected. Now you're back.
Hope he'll come back soon.
He's back. He's back. Sir, you're mute. Ekbal, sir, you're mute. And the slide is, yeah. Okay.
So there was a Jada, a public rally was organized in Arua, and the participants of the MFC meeting talked in their own language in a public meeting. That was a unique meeting. A few talked in Hindi, Bengali, Telugu and other languages. Now the 50th anniversary is going to be organized in Calicut. Now the support base has increased from a small group organizing the Calicut meeting. Now after a 4 or 5 decades, it is very evident that the public health movement, how People's Health Movement has widened it based in India and as well as in Kerala. Now, when you look at the topic per se, the milestones in People's Health Movement, actually, I don't think anybody has actually marked the People's Health Movement at the national level, at the global level. Now, I can only make a broad presentation of the issues involved by the People's Health Movement at the national and global level. And when you look at it, the People's Health Movement, you see that the health movements have played a transformative role in shaping the healthcare landscape in many countries, including India. And you see that the journey of health movements in India is marked by a relentless pursuit of equity, access, and quality of healthcare in this country. And this movement, we will be examining that, have not only addressed the immediate health concern, that have also tackled the underlying socio-economic determinants of health. That is the uniqueness of this movement. And as we delve into the milestones of this health movement, it is essential to recognize the synergy between local initiatives and global support systems. So it is a very wide movement, and those youngsters who are attending the meeting, especially the public health expert, I may suggest that somebody should take it as a task to study in detail about the People's Health Movements at the national and global level. Now, if you look at this People's Health Movement, you see that this movement is unique in that it is, in its fold, it is led by, practiced by health practitioners, social scientists, social activists, academics, political workers, a very diverse group of people. And there are voluntary organizations, feminist organizations, people science movements, and trade unions who are who have working in the People's Health Movement nationally and at the global level. And most of them organize various health campaigns, health education for the public, training programs, publications. And there are a few who run rural basic healthcare centers, the primary healthcare centers. Now, this is in response to the urban-based curative expensive healthcare that has been developed in various countries. And as a response to that, rural basic health centers are run by a few of them. But what is unique, that is need to be noticed in as far as the people's health movements is concerned, is that people from very different political moorings are working here. So in the case of India, from Gandhians to extreme left ideology holding people are working with this. But in spite of that, there is a common program, a consensus program, ideological understanding of what is happening in the health front. And also there is a consensus action program that have evolved. Now, I don't think in any other domain you see people with such a differing political moorings are cooperating for a public good, public activities. And these movements are unique in that this is assisted by expert, activist assisted grassroots movement. It is not that the experts are advising the grassroots movement. It is a two-way process. The experts are they understand the health problems of the people from the grassroots level workers. On the other hand, their expertise is also being conveyed to the grassroots level. So it is a two-way process of expert-assisted grassroots level movement. Secondly, these are the two major concerns. One is the social determinants of health and the political economy of health. And in the process of the campaign by the last half a century, if you look by, you see that we could achieve a demystification of medical practice at various levels, because you know that the root of exploitation for the common people by the health sector is because of information inequality between the experts and the non-experts. But by bringing out the social determinants of health, the political economy of health, etc., the people's health movement could demystify medical practice, and thereby empowering the people and ensuring people's participation in the decision-making process of health policies. Now, if you look at the major achievements that in various countries, even at the state level, as far as India is concerned, we could prepare a roadmap for public health development. And therefore, health has been brought into the topic for mainstream debate, one of the topic for mainstream debate. And because of the various activities of the people's health movement, we could put health in the political agenda of the political parties. And also we could influence. You see, it is not that we are standing apart and criticizing. We also participate when we get an opportunity in various international bodies or governmental agencies and try to influence regional, national, and international health policies. This is the sum up of what the people's health movement are doing and what their achievements are. Now, in all these things, one of the inspiration, the major inspiration, source of information is Rodolphe Foucault, who, as you know, remains a profound source of inspiration for the people's health movement. And his pioneering work, his Upper Silesia report, when Foucault, who was a pathologist and clinician, was asked to study the typhus epidemic in Upper Silesia, a Polish minority-speaking area in erstwhile Germany, he came out with this report. It was in this report that the social medicine terminology was first used. And his pioneering work emphasized the importance of social factors in health. There are very profound statements you can read in the Upper Silesia report, wherein he says that if diseases are primarily a social phenomena, then medicine is a social science. And he went further to say that medicine is nothing but politics writ large. So you see that even after the last 50 years, you see that Foucault continues to inspire activists to challenge the systematic health disparities and work towards a equitable health for all. So he continues to inspire us. Now, the International Conference on Primary Health Care in Almaty, organized in 1978 in the erstwhile Soviet Union's Uzbekistan. Almaty at that time was its capital. Now the name has been changed to Almaty. Now that is a unique experience. So what happened there was that the Almaty Declaration came out with a comprehensive health strategy based upon social justice, equity, community participation, and empowerment of the people, and also highlighted the socio-economic and political costs of poor health. In fact, if you reread the Alma-Ata Declaration, you will see that it contains not only a comprehensive health strategy, it is a comprehensive philosophy for development. And above all, it was in Alma-Ata, it was in the Alma-Ata, declaration that health as a fundamental human right was mentioned. So first time that the health is treated as a fundamental human right. It's not a privilege, but it's a fundamental human right, was very forcefully mentioned in Alma-Ata Declaration. But what should be understood is that the Alma-Ata Declaration was an outcome of people's science movement, people's health movement, I would say. This has gone largely unnoticed. You know that the Alma-Ata Declaration was prepared by Alban Mahler, the Director General of WHO at that time, based upon two documents. One document prepared by Alban Mahler, which was an alternative approach to meeting basic health needs developing countries. And the second one was the document prepared by Safarullah Chowdhury on basic healthcare in rural areas. Now, if you look at Alban Mahler, you see that he is a priest and public health activist. He was interested in health challenges of developing countries, as can be seen from the background map here. And he led anti-tuberculosis campaigns in the Latin American countries. He was a chief of the National Tuberculosis Control Program in India, and then moved on to the development. He was a health activist. So I would say that Alma-Ata Conference and the declaration was prepared by two. The major contribution was by two people's health movement activists, that is Alban Mahler and Safarullah Chowdhury. And when he died, his tomb is in Geneva, where it is written, as he requested, that health for all and all for health. Now, Safarullah Chowdhury died very recently, last year in April, and he was a source of inspiration to health activists all over the world. And he was in Dhaka, and he was doing his postgraduate training in vascular surgery in America. Then he came to Bangladesh during the Bangladesh liberation movement. In fact, at that time, Bangladesh was part of Pakistan, and he took part in the liberation struggle as a member of the Mukti Bahini. But then he did not go back to America, but he continued to serve in Bangladesh, because he knew that the people's health problems, his learning of vascular surgery is unimportant. He understood face to face. He came to face with the health problems in the rural Bangladesh, and he established the People's Health Center, Gunashastra Kendra, then in Gunashastra Pharmaceutical, then the medical college, and he played a major role in the formation of People's Health Movement. Now, the Gunashastra Kendra was a prototype of a primary health care center, catering to needs of about 1.5 lakhs people in and around in an area called Savar, where he managed, because experts were not there, and even surgical procedures were done by the paramedics of Savar. In fact, I first came to know about the GK and Safarullah Chowdhury when I read an article on paramedics of Savar in Lancet. Now, what happened was, they were doing minor surgical procedures, even some of the major surgical procedures, and there was an opposition from the medical profession. But he proved by an academic study that the complications and side effects of the surgical procedures done by paramedics was less than that done by the surgeons in the nearby medical college. So this article was published in Lancet, and also he started a Nari Kendra in Gunashastra Kendra to empower the women, and he started the social health insurance, and the concept note on rural health, which was used to prepare the Alma-Ata Declaration, was conceived here by him. Now, in fact, Safarullah was a frequent visitor to Kerala. In fact, you can see here he making a lecture in the Calicut Medical College Biochemistry Lecture Hall in 1986. And maybe MFC meeting will also be held in, one of the discussion will be held in one of the lecture halls in Calicut Medical College when we do the meeting in August. Now, the impact of Alma-Ata was very significant, because a large number of community-based health programs were initiated in several countries. And it appeared that there was a social change in the agenda because it was a comprehensive document for social development. And it appeared at that time that it was a threat to the elites, the governments and medical establishment. And naturally, as can be expected, there was initiatives, especially by the UNICEF and other agencies, to totally move away from the comprehensive primary healthcare to a selective primary healthcare with a limited set of interventions. The GOBI, 3F, even though they are all important to bring down the mortality and morbidity, especially of the children, from a comprehensive approach to a quantifiable, predictable outcome approach. And also they said that a comprehensive development is not possible. Let us go for an incremental expansion. And when you come to selective primary healthcare, when you compare it with the Almata Declaration, the people's participation, decision-making by the people, empowerment, etc., were out of the agenda. So this is what happened. At least it was at that time that David Werner, along with David Saunders, wrote this very important document, which inspired us, which we were discussing and questioning the solutions, the politics of primary healthcare and child survival. David Werner himself was running a public health institute in Palo Alto in California called Health Right. And he was also running a public health, a rural health center in Mexico. And here you can see that these children were provided with all the social determinants of health, the food, water, potable water supply, etc. But these children were not being provided with this basic amenities necessary for health. So when they try to move, they fall down. It is how the network, they try to save them by safety net approach, a safety net approach. So this child is asking, why not we build a bridge here? So this has become very popular at that time and used as a document to counter the selective primary approach of the UNICEF. In fact, basically, it was a fight between UNICEF and WHO at that time because Alden Mahler was not in agreement with that. Now, meanwhile, in the health sector, tremendous progress was being made, diagnostics, drugs, etc. So far, there was a concept from human beings in the midst of diseases. And the midst of diseases causing factors, from that we changed over to diseases within human beings. Because and there was a change from approach was changing from multifactorial social causes to a unifactorial medical causes. This change was taking place, and also a big pharmaceutical industry and medical equipment industry developed, a giant medical industrial complex, which was helped and abetted by neoliberal economic policies, and health services then turned into health industry, and extreme mechanization and dehumanization taking place. These all were happening at the health scenario. And the People's Health Movement were closely watching this development and responding to that. The first breakthrough came when the fight against drug colonialism started in 1980s. This is perhaps the major movement initiated by People's Health Movement across countries all the world, starting from the developing part of the world to India to the different states, even in India. Because basically what we were arguing, we were campaigning was against the marketing of irrational, harmful drugs, which were banned or restricted for use in development. So they were following double standards in drug promotion and marketing. Remember that at that time, there were no internet, there were no communication facilities. So we had to get this information from our friends who are working in the People's Health Movement in countries. So drugs which were harmful, generally speaking, the way the drugs were being marketed was the indications will be more in developing countries, and contraindications and side effects will be very little in the promotional materials, whereas indications will be limited in developed countries and the side effects and contraindications will be more. So all these were examined, and fortunately, there were, and in India, meanwhile, we examined the Hathi Committee recommendation, which was published in 1975. It was Hathi Committee in India which first talked about essential drugs. So when you talk about essential drugs, then that immediately means that there are non-essential drugs in the market. There are at that time around 15,000 drugs in the market. Based upon the health needs of the people in India, the Hathi Committee has listed out 117 essential drugs. And they also suggested that we should ban non-essential and hazardous drugs. And it is following the Harty Committee recommendation that WHO published the selection of essential drugs in 1977. Now, Harty Committee said it in 1975. And it was Halden Mahler again, who was the DG at that time, Director General, who started publishing the selection of essential drugs. Now they come out with, WHO coming out with model list of essential drugs. And because of the pressure by the People's Health Movement in India, the national list of essential drugs, even though not very satisfactory, is being published by the government of India. Now, one of the major sources of inspiration for us in our fight against multinational drug companies was Uli Hansen. He's a Swedish pediatrician who understood that the subacute myelooptic neuropathy was caused by a drug which was widely used for treatment of diarrhea, the Calicut group of drugs. And he published the book. It was after he died of lymphoma, and he detected thousands of cases in Japan. They filed suits in the court, and ruling was against the drug companies. And what his activities are published later after his death in 1989 inside Sibagigi, the book. Sibagigi was the company that was marketing Cleoquinol in large volumes in different countries. And immediately we published a Malayalam translation of this book in 1990 itself, next year itself. Now here you see there is a synergy between the activities at the local and global level. Now Uli Hansen continues to inspire us. And then there were large number of other resources by Milton Silverman, Diana Milrose, Stanley Adams, Charles Medavar, Andy Chetley. And based upon this background information, we built up the notion. This was one of, fortunately, I had this photo with me. That is how the People's Health movements working in different states came together in Sevagram Ashram in 1982 and formed the All India Drug Action Network, which is still active. You can see in the photos, there's the health activists like Arvind Patwardhan of the Aragya Dashada Mandal here, Arvind Fatke, Anand Fatke of the MFC, R.K. Anand of Akash, I am also here. We can see Dinosh Abrol of the Delhi Science Forum, Ashwin Patil, Kamalaji Rao, Veera Satgopal, Satyamena. This was a major initiative taken by the People's Health Movement in India. And now, because of the pressure by the health movement, IDA and etc., the government of India finally banned 22 drugs. But they published only the generic names, not the brand names. And therefore, we decided to publish the brand names. The first publication was by the Banned and Bannable Drug Book published by the All India Health Association in India. It was prepared by Meera Shiva and Vishwas Rane. In Kerala, we followed up with the publication of not only banned and bannable drugs, but also essential drugs. Because in this book, the brand names of the drugs banned were mentioned. It created a public health history, publication history of sort. And this was published in the first death anniversary of Uli Hansen. In fact, at that time, I was working in Calicut. And in Calicut, this book was published while I was working in Calicut Medical College. And 4 editions in 1 year with 40,000 copies. It was a publication history. And it was published, translated into several Indian languages. I have with me only the Tamil editions of this book. And then also there was again the interaction with Medico Front Circle and others who have taking place. And we published 2 of the booklets prepared by one antidiarrheal and analgesics formulations by Medico Front Circle, and another book by prepared by All India Drug Action Network was republished by KSSP in Kerala. Now, one of the daring initiative taken by us at that time was the publication of what is called the Dear Doctor Drug Information Pilot. So instead of doctors prescribing drugs and we are at the receiving end, now the People's Health Movement in turn prepared the Dear Doctor Drug Information Packet containing list of banned drugs, problem drugs, etc., and a note on the life and works of Uli Hansen and distributed among the doctors. Of course, many doctors did not like this, as can be expected, but nevertheless, this was actually released by Dr. C.R. Som, who was a professor of biochemistry and a health activist by himself in the Trivandrum Medical College. This was one of the major step initiative taken by the People's Health Movement. And meanwhile, Safarla Chowdhury published a book called The Politics of Essential Drug, going into the details of the role played by multinational drug companies, their exploitation, etc., and the unethical marketing practices, etc. And immediately in 1996, he published the book. Immediately in 1998, the Malayalam translation was published. Now, other It might have been translated into other Indian languages. I am talking about Malayalam translation because I am connected with the People's Health Movement here. And WHO and also Safrullah also published the WHO Essential Drug List. A Bengali translation was published in 2002. Safrullah always told us that don't restrict your campaign to banned and bannabilities. Talk about essential drugs. Other your campaigns may inadvertently turn people against drug per se. And our aim should be to ban these dangerous drugs, but make essential drugs available to the people. That was his policy. And in Kerala, large number of jata, signature campaigns, etc. were held. And in fact, if you look back, you see that the mass base of the public health movements across nations, across Indian states, were widened because of the campaign of essential drugs. And after in 1985, we organized a conference of a decade after Hathi Committee in Trivandrum, and a summary, an abstract of the Hathi Committee report was published in this document. And then another initiative at that time taken by KSSB and others in Kerala was to revive the public sector drug company in Kerala, which is KSBP. And for your information, this is perhaps the only public sector drug company now in the country functioning. And it is because of the science movement intervention that we could revive the KSBP. And now they are producing around 500 crores of rupees. And we expect that very shortly they will start an ongopa to produce drugs necessary for cancer treatment. Now, in between, there is a detour in 1992. Safrullah took the initiative, and we had a visit to the Palestine at that time. Because at that time, of course, I was in the team, Veena Shiva, myself, and then from Australia, there were a few health activists came. Then Maria Suniga from Nicaragua was there. What we were doing there was to set up a primary healthcare network in the Palestine area because most of them were destroyed at that time. In fact, it was Safrullah Chowdhury who took the initiative and made this visit possible. Now, in 2000, different health networks in India came together and formed the Janaswasthya Abhiyan. In fact, initially there were only 18 networks. Now we have got 22 networks formed the Janaswasthya Abhiyan. And there were a large number of them. Medical Front Circle was there. And I am not listing out all the organization. There was the community, the Catholic Health Association of India, Swachara, Sama, Sati, Medical Front Circle, and Federation of Medical, the Federation of the Medical Representative Association, All India People Science Network, All India Drug Action, all came together. And in the Salt Lake in Calcutta, the Janaswasthya Abhiyan was formed. And the second National Health Assembly was held in Bhopal, where the Health Minister from Kerala, Srimati Teacher, attended in 2008. And the third assembly was held in Raipur in Chhattisgarh. And you should visit the best, those who are not in touch with Janaswasthya Abhiyan should visit the website and you can see the number of their publications, etc. Basically, Janaswasthya Abhiyan is working to get a people's health policy implemented in this state, ensuring universal health care, strengthen the public health sector, social control of the private sector, and women's health rights and gender equity and access to essential medicine. So this movement is a very vibrant movement. And immediately after the Janaswasthya Abhiyan meeting, we moved to Savar, Bangladesh. And the People's Health Assembly was, World Health Assembly was there organized by Safrullah Chowdhury in December 48 in 2000. And you can see Safrullah here, Meera Shiva, Maria Suniga. So this was a great success. Most of the health activists globally participated in this conference. Alban Mahler, David Berner, David Saunders, Balasubramaniam, Maria Suniga, etc. participated. And then five of the World Health Assembly were held, and the latest one was held in Argentina. And People's Health Movement published Global Health Watch reports every 2 years, and the fifth one has been out. And if you visit the PHM Global website, you can get a lot of information. Now, the People's Health Charter was accepted in both the People's Health Assembly in India and in the Global World Health Assembly in Savar, Bangladesh. In fact, it was drafted by Harbin Mal himself, wherein it is mentioned that health is a social, economic, and political issue and above a fundamental human right, almost paraphrasing the Almaty Declaration. And further, it goes on to say that health for all means that powerful interests have to be challenged. So, in fact, this was drafted by Harbin Mal. And then came the patent law changes, another area of intervention by the People's Health Movement was in the intellectual property area, because as per the WHO TRIPS regime, India accepted the TRIPS regime from 2005 January. Now, so far we had a process patent here because we could make any drug patented by drug companies through another process. The generic low-cost version could be produced, but then from 2005 onwards, they changed over to product patent, and the patent period was extended 20 years. It is because of the process patent regime, which was in India, that India could produce generic drugs. I mean, the very costly drugs at very low cost, especially AIDS-related drugs, which are produced by Indian companies and marketed even in the USA. So the AIDS drugs cost was very high. And that is why Indian drug industry is called the pharmacy of the developing world, or the drugstore of the poor. All this changed, and because of the WTO TRIPS regime. But one thing is that when this was debated in the parliament, the People's Health Movement briefed our parliament members, because they were not well versed in these patent rules. So they were briefed in such a way that some of the major provisions of which is helpful to the people could be incorporated in the patent law, which was passed by the Indian Parliament, like compulsory licensing, pre-grant opposition, Article 3D, which will prevent frivolous patents, etc., has been included in the Indian Patent Act in spite of the TRIPS regime. That is because of the intervention of the public health activists. They are briefing our parliament members, because Amit Sen Gupta played a major role, Amitabh Guha, Dinesh Abroad, etc., brief, and of course Sarojini, Meera Shiva, all of them briefed the parliament members and could incorporate it. Yeah. But drug industry moved into crisis, drug prices escalated, and as far as India is concerned, we were a self-reliant country. As far as pharmaceutical was concerned, that was lost. And it was at this time that Safarlal Chowdhury convened a meeting in a PHM conference in Amsterdam, wherein public health experts, Carlos Corio is the foremost expert in Indian intellectual property rights. He was in the law department in Buenos Aires University, and James Love, who was also an expert in IPR, was all of them came together, and a document to brief the ministerial conference of WHO at Doha was prepared on compulsory license to make it more country friendly. And Safarlal and James Left, in fact, went to Doha. The Doha ministerial conference was being held, and they convinced the ministerial members, and then they accepted what is described as the Doha flexibilities, because they granted national governments right to grant compulsory license. Compulsory licensing means that if any drug, if it is patented and if not affordable to the people or not produced in a sufficient amount, then another company who can produce this drug at a lower cost can get permission by the compulsory licensing provision. That is the advantage of this. So this was a great success, and they agreed. In fact, the WTO agreed that in public health emergency situation, we can actually go in for commercial licensing. And this happened also. This happened in India because the Bayer was at that time marketing a drug called Nexavar, which is whose generic name is sorafenib tosylate, a drug used for renal cell carcinoma. Their treatment cost for 2,80,000 rupees. But NATCO, an Indian company, said that we will make this at 8,800 rupees, and they they filed a request for granting compulsory licensing. Now, at that time, the patent controller was P.H. Kurian, who was an IAS officer. He's from Kerala, actually. He recently retired. He granted the compulsory licensing to NAT in 2020. So the great major breakthrough. But since then, unfortunately, even though there has been demand to grant compulsory licensing to costly drugs like remdesivir, for example, during the COVID epidemic, or CA breast incidence of which is increasing, the government and there was demand to go for compulsory licensing and make cheap versions of this, but the government has been granted. So this is a great victory for the public health movements in India. And then there was another thing happening in India. There's Novartis. Again, they were marketing a drug for leukemia. Imatinib mesylate is a generic name. Their brand name was Gleevec. And they were marketing this drug. The cost was 120,000 rupees treatment for 1 month, whereas Indian companies were marketing for 10,000 drugs. So they said their drug was superior. It's a beta crystal form, and their bioavailability is more, whereas the Indian company produces a free base form. So their drug should be allowed to be patented, but the Indian patent controller did not permit. They actually filed a case against Article 3D. Article 3D against a frivolous patenting. So the so-called Me Too drugs, the same drug with some manipulation of the molecules, are marketed as a new drug and at a higher price. So to prevent that, the 3D is incorporated, and they went to the Supreme Court to get the 3D provision squashed. And there was a big international support against this move by Novartis. At that time, the People's Health Assembly was being held in Cape Town in 2012, and there was a street jata was organized in the street of Cape Town, and wherein you can read the banner which says that don't shout down the pharmacy of the developing world, in support of the Indian initiative, Indian People's Science Initiative to fight the Novartis in the court. And finally, the court ruled against Novartis. That was a great victory. You can see here Dr. Meera Shiva. I was also there. In fact, I used this photo as the cover to their book called Indian Drug Industry later. Now, meanwhile, there was a re-exploration of Alma-Ata was taking place. Because all over the world, because of the neoliberal policies, new threats were emerging. There was increasing privatization and commercialization. There was a health sector crisis, not only in developing countries, even in developed countries, rising of healthcare cost and marginalization of the poor. So at that time, 2008 marked a landmark year. Now, I have a feeling that this has gone largely unnoticed even by the public health expert. 2 reports were published. One, WHO was forced to appoint a commission on social determinants of health. And they also published a primary healthcare now more than ever. In fact, you know that we were moved from primary health, comprehensive primary healthcare to selective primary healthcare. But now we were moving back to the primary healthcare. Now more than ever was the title of the book published, the document published. And interestingly, 2008 marked the 30th anniversary of Alma-Ata Declaration and 1/6th anniversary of the Upper Silesia report by Rodolphe Foucault. And these 2 documents, I would say they mark the second PHC revolution, the first being the Alma-Ata Declaration. And they talked about, these documents talk about the reinvigorating comprehensive primary health care instead of the selective primary health. They recognize the social determinants of health and importance of community participation and relevance of universal healthcare. In fact, the term universal healthcare was used in this document for the first time. And it should also be understood that this document was prepared, especially the document on the Commission on the Social Determinants of Health. In fact, it is titled Closing the Gap in a Generation was the title, which was actually done by a committee. Amartya Sen was a member of the committee, and it was led by Michel Marmot. I am sure that you know about Michel Marmot, who's in the he's an epidemiologist and public health expert, and he did the Whitehall study in London in 1967, where he published the status syndrome and the health gap, and he's well known. He's an health activist, expert health activist. He was he was chairing the Commission on Social Determinants of Health. And at that time, Margaret Chan was the DG. She was also a health activist. If you look at her background, she was a Chinese Canadian public health expert interested in women's health and infectious diseases. Played a major role in the control of various epidemics across nations. Now, then in 2018, the Astana conference was organized. It was in this document. See, if you look at the Almaty declaration, it runs into 2.5 pages. But this was a comprehensive document. Interestingly, again, Astana is now the capital of Uzbekistan. They have moved from Almaty or Almaty to Astana. And this was organized. And in this document, we can new development, later developments are included like climate change, One Health, One World, universal healthcare, and this document mentioned about health in all. See, health for all was the slogan in Almaty conference. This they moved further and say health in all. And I would say that this was a third PSC revolution that was taking place. And should also be understood that the DG, now the Director General of Health, World Health Organization, Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, is the first DG from African countries. In fact, he is from Ethiopia. Now, he got interested in public health because his younger sister died of an infectious diseases, measles, and then he was involved in public health activities. And he's a political activist also. He was a minister in the Ethiopian ministry, and he proved that he reduced the infant mortality rate from 100 plus to 20 plus in Ethiopia while he was the health minister. So what I am trying to say that when you look at some of the international organizations, what I was saying earlier, most of them were actually led by the public health, people who are acting in the health movements also. Now came the COVID period experience. And at every stage, the health movement at the global, national, and state level intervened in the government policies and tried to course correct some of the wrong policies followed by the government. And we also realized that the pandemic is leading to socioeconomic inequality. It's called inequality virus. The COVID virus is called inequality virus and affected more marginalized and people and women. It is called silent pandemic because it affected women more. And it also proved that the public health institutions were relevant. And only those countries where the public health institutions were very vibrant, we could control it. That is one reason why Kerala could control the COVID effectively, because of the vibrant public health system we are having here. And also during this period, the People's Health Movement further looked into pandemics, zoonotic diseases, antimicrobial diseases, resistance, and the health impacts of climate change. These are all new challenges which are. And also the One Health, One World concept, the open COVID movement. This is following the free software movement. There was an open COVID movement to prepare drugs, appliances, etc. for management of COVID on a cooperative and sharing basis. Such a movement emerged. And also we have to build up an international solidarity based on sound science. There were anti-vaxxers were very active, and then the people's science health movements generally came against such tendencies. Now, if you look at the people's health movement development for the last 50 years, you will see that the concept has been further developed. We are not in the Alma-Ata period. We are moved further based upon the experience we gathered for the last 50 years. Now, from primary healthcare, we are now talking about universal healthcare, which should be availability, accessibility, and affordability of a universal healthcare based upon a comprehensive primary healthcare approach. And even though we were earlier talking about health education, disease prevention, and primary healthcare, women and child healthcare, immunization, since across nations, the longevity is increasing, lifestyle, so-called lifestyle diseases are increasing, diseases like diabetes, hypertension, etc. Again, even at the primary healthcare level, at primary level, we should have some amount of secondary care rehabilitation, and palliative care. That's also come in a big way in the purview of the people's science movement. So therefore, we see that there is a conceptual development of the people's health movement taking place. Also, we also understand that IPR, intellectual property regime, is playing a major role, not only in pharmaceutical, but also in medical industry. And fortunately, as an alternative, the open source movement is developing. In fact, there is an open source drug discovery model is developing. In India, there was a open source drug discovery project to develop anti-tuberculosis drug, but unfortunately, the government withdrew the fund to the OSTD project in India. But now, with the COVID, the open source movement is very active. And also, we are talking about one health, one world approach, because unless we protect the environment as well as the other life forms in the planet, we will not be able to protect life of the human beings. So a comprehensive approach has developed. Now, I am finishing this presentation. The World Health Assembly was held in Argentina very recently. A large number of delegates participated from different countries participated in the Argentina. And we have published, there was a document published called the Call to Action. I am not going into the content of this. We will share this later. I was requesting the organizers to have a WhatsApp group of those who are participating in this. We will share the call for action document prepared in the Argentina, looking at the health situation at the global level and how to respond to that. And the JSA during the election, the election to the Lok Sabha is just completed, but during the election, before the election campaign started, JSA published a fact sheet on the abysmal health situation in India and requested the Janso Sabian came out with a People's Health Manifesto, a 10-point People's Health Manifesto for right to health. And we distributed these to all the political parties, had discussion with them. Even though not to our satisfaction, I may say that to some extent, some of the mainstream political parties have included some of the demands articulated by JSA in the People's Health Manifesto. So Janso Sabian was very active during the election campaign because it was an appropriate time to bring to the attention of the political parties to the health situation in our country. Now, finally, I may say that if you look at the PHM philosophy, the basic understanding of the people's health movement across countries, across states in India is that we start with the premise that human health is a human right. It is not a privilege. And health should be a fundamental human right. And we are repeatedly asking that we should include health as a fundamental right in the Indian Constitution, even though now up to 14 years, education has been included as a fundamental right in our Constitution. Health has never been a fundamental right. And we critically examine health policy from a people's perspective. It is not only that we are criticizing, the health movements are not only criticizing the people's, the health policies of the government. We suggest people-oriented alternatives also in details and then campaign for people's health policies. And whenever we get an opportunity, like maybe it is Safarla Chowdhury or Margaret Chan, or we participate in the national and international bodies, even at the state level, governmental agencies, to influence the health policies at the local, state, national, and global levels. And that is the general PHM philosophy that has evolved last 50 years. Now, when I finish, I have to necessarily mention one group which usually is not included as part of the People's Health Movement, but it is also a People's Health Movement. That is the Medicine Sans Frontiers, which was formed in 1971 following the Biafra catastrophe in Nigeria. And this is a group of doctors and public health activists who offer succor to those who suffer from public health emergencies, disasters, either nature-made public health disasters or human-made disasters. Now, I think that Dr. Santosh Kumar, who is from Kerala, is active now. He is in he was in Palestine and offering health support there. Now they have gone to Ukraine. And we should also take note of the medicine founders who have awarded the Peace Nobel Prize in 1999. Now, this in short is what I have to share with you this evening. And I hope that from Kerala Shastra Sahitya Parishad and on behalf of Janaswastha Abhiyan and the People's Health Movement Global, I hope that the MFC conference, 50th anniversary conference will be a great success. And we can further move forwards, further strengthening and also strengthening the mass base of the people's health movement in our country. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ekbal sir, for a very good talk, especially transferring history to the new generations. Next, we can go for the question answer session and comment session. And for controlling a managing session, I invite Ahana. Dr. Ahana, please manage.
Need not be a
Mr.
question answer
Stephen,
session. It can be
the
a sharing.
participants can post or directly ask.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Sir, there's a question from Siddharth Narayanan. He's a first year MBBS student in JMC Kolpur. He's asking in regards to the climate health, where does Indian public health system stand and what would be done to raise more awareness on the long-term implications of climate change on health? And he's also asking, are we making any progress?
No, you see, in fact, this is a new phenomena that's coming. That's why I mentioned about climate change at the ask, especially with COVID, with the climate change, even in Kerala. See, we were very proud that it is a air-conditioned state in Kerala. We faced flood in 2018 and the temperature is rising. So we are looking into it, and there are a large number of international agencies intervening in climate change issues. This also includes AMR, antimicrobial resistance issues, zoonotic disease, etc. And this is a new issue, and we are studying this issue as far as possible, supporting some of the initiatives by national and state governments on climate change issues. In fact, there is already agencies have been formed at the national and the state level to look at the climate change issues and this impact on health. And you know that say when you look at the infectious disease profile now, you know that the vector-borne diseases are, because of the climate change, it is spreading newer areas. The dynamics of many of the disease dissemination is changing because of climate change. And people's health movements are closely watching this and trying to respond to this. There can be comments, rather than questions. I would prefer. There are a number of others who are here who are more experienced than me. They can also share their experience of the people's health movement.
Sir, myself have a question. Sir, I'm a PG student in community medicine. So my question is, we all are mainly into the academics, like after taking community medicine or during the community medicine time itself, even though we are sensitized with the public health or we are much into the discussion of public health, but mostly we are moving on to the academic side. So what we can be done for us to come into the public health side, even in the policy making or decision making like that? And furthermore, after graduating, what roles can we expect into this?
Oh, we can play a lot of, in fact, one thing which I have observed from the earlier days is that large number of public health experts are now acting in people's health movements, both at the national level, at the state level, especially during COVID. They have become very vocal. I was always asking my community medicine department colleagues, even though I was working in the clinical side, that you should become more vocal. Say in the case of Kerala, for example, we have the decentralized system of healthcare. And say, for example, a Trivandrum Medical Community Department can help the corporation to develop public health projects. So, see, there should be public in public health education. See, you cannot see, unlike other subjects, the community medicine departments can do a lot. They can issue specific studies on various problems around you, submit the report to the government, and there is tremendous scope for intervention by the public health expert. But I am very optimistic about it because I find that, see, in fact, this Dr. Jayakrishnan is a public health expert. There are a large number of public health experts. Anthony is here. There are a large number of public health experts. I am not a public health expert. I learned this from them only, and they have become very vocal. And if you want specific recommendation, should what you do, you can contact me later. I have, there are large number of opportunities, especially. Are you from Kerala?
Sir, from Calicut only.
From?
Hello, from Calicut. I'm basically from
Then,
Ernakulam, but now in Calicut.
so you can, where are you working?
Sir, in KMCT.
KMC, yeah.
KMC.
Jayakrishnan, Dr. Jayakrishnan
Yes,
is there.
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He is better
Yeah,
suited
sir
to
is
direct
actually
you.
giving a very good insight into this.
Yeah, he can do that. Well,
Ah,
that
yes,
can be
sir.
done. In fact, I envy you. I'm very envious of public health experts. My expertise is
Thank you,
really.
sir. That's a
Yeah.
very great compliment for people like us, like the budding ones.
See, I am a neurosurgeon. I was a super specialist assistant, but I think you are more important to the country, the
Oh.
state.
It's great to hear, sir. Thank you. That's from you. It's very great words for us and inspiration. And if yes, sir,
Hello,
one
sir.
more question is there. Yeah, please.
Hello, sir. Am I audible?
Yes. Yes.
Hello, sir. I am Dr. Shruti. So I have one question that regarding the TRIPS, that is trade-related aspects of intellectual property rights. So what is your opinion regarding this TRIPS in public health?
See, IPR, actually, there are, see, I have referred to several issues here, which can be discussed as a separate topic by itself. IPR itself is a separate discipline which we have to further work on it. Actually, large number of us are working on IPR related issues. Dr. Mr. Gopakumar is there, the Third World Network. Mr. Gupta was working. Amitav Guha was there. Only thing I can point out is that as an alternative to IPR regime, as a fallout to the free software movement, the open open source movement has come in. It has a great future because unlike the IPR regime, which is based upon competition and monopoly, the free software philosophy means cooperation and sharing. So I think that some of you should work on this. IPR also is a socially subtle. Usually the law, it has come as a subspecialty of law. Actually, it was the health activists who started talking about IPR in India. You see, we started it, even though we were not experts in this field. And some of you should work on IPR issues also. In fact, I have to attend a conference organized by Third World work in Cochin University in the next year, on 14th. I will be talking there on the health activism in relation to IPR. Yeah.
Sir, we have Indu, a participant. She has raised her hand from Kollam, GMC Kollam.
Hello,
Please.
good evening, sir.
Hindu, I learn a lot from Hindu. In fact, she is my reference.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for, I just wanted to respond to Dr. Hannah's question on, so public health, there is an academic component, there's a research component, there is of course a policy component, and finally there is a practice component to it. There are different, what if you are talking about Ekbal sir is, if we ask someone in the public domain, who are the public health experts or whom decide policy, like for example, the recent vaccine policy was chaired by Ekbal sir. So official academic training is one, practice of public health is there, interest is there, the depth of knowledge, lots of things. Of course, if you talk about the unique branches, for example, epidemiology is a unique science of public health, which most of the courses of public health might go in deep, and so there are certain focus areas where more in-depth kind of analysis, for example, synthesis of evidence, which vaccine, which country, the guidelines, if you look at the way in which I think the World Health Assembly and the ILMAT and several WHO agencies and moves were referred. So those are some of the, like, it's both academic and policy. If you look at the guidelines, evidence of synthesis, the grade, the bias, several things. So that is public health. But beyond that, coming to the point, like if you're specifically asking about public health cadre and those policies issues, it's a different thing. But many postgraduates, whichever it be, MPH, DPH, Jagadishan sir is there. He was in the planning division of health service for quite some time. So at every, many of our CHCs, PHCs, district Ardham nodal officers, we all at all these positions, the DPMs, we can find people who are from the public health. So everywhere there is, and we need to have more, and we need to have more, especially to face the challenges that we face, whether be the non-communicable disease, mental health accidents, to find solutions and to find the answers we need. So I think the scope of public health is going to widen now with climate change. I think there was a query from a final year MBBS student on the climate change, which is the real in thing. So the solutions have to be both local and global.
Yes, ma'am. More and more people
Thank
have
you
to
once
come
again,
forward.
Iqbal sir, for your
Sir,
time and the
I'm
rich
here, Jagadishan
presentation.
here, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, one key question which is always haunting me, are we happy about the people's involvement in health issues? Or since this particular session is focusing more on people's health movement, what is the strategic steps needed for further improving the real people's involvement at different levels? It need not be at the international, national and all, but at starting from the grassroots level, how to bringing more people in the arena of public health interventions, or to act upon, or to get involved, to organize and all. So how to improve the mass base of public health movement from the current level of, at the current level, I feel it is very narrow domain of experts and limited people. So what is your opinion, or your suggestions, or way out from this scenario?
No, I think, see, I think we are communicating with the people. Because health on advantages, unlike other issues that are highlighted, see, during the elections, is that health is an issue which affects every sections of the society. More so in the marginalized group. Even the elite group affects health issues. So what we have to do is to look at the health-related issues, work up the issue, come out with alternatives and present it before the people. That is it. So therefore, it is not difficult. Actually, in Kerala, it is relatively easy because we have the decentralized system. We can always work with the Panchayat Raj system. It is fairly easy. And fortunately, irrespective of the political ideology, everybody is prepared to cooperate with you. So the issue is very clear. Large number of issues are affecting the people. Whether if you look at starting from the so-called lifestyle diseases, the issues related to aging, the issues, the communicable diseases, and by virtue of having an expertise in public health, you can work up the issues, present the alternatives, present it before the government, and rally the people on such public demands. It is not difficult. In fact, there are a lot of opportunities. In fact, I often, frankly, Jagdish, I often find that I do not have the expertise to work up some of these issues. In fact, say for example, also we have to look at some of the governmental policies. Say for example, in Kerala government said that they are going to implement a school health program. I do not know what has happened to it. You examine it, whether anything has come out of it. If there is some deficiency, point this out to the people. Or they have recently done a lifestyle disease studies. It's not so, 30 plus age group. I still do not know what happened to that. You study that report. Then come out with an alternative, because you have the credibility to do that. And I think there is a large number of, it is not lack of opportunities, and people will be with you. This is my experience. In fact, my experience is that a public health expert concerned with people's health is accepted by the people in Canada, in any country for that. No problems. Jagdish, do you feel that people are not with you? You are a very popular person.
Yeah, at
You do not know.
different levels, there is a need for, since I thought let others ask questions or others participate, since it's a discussion part, mostly it is from Kerala only. I know that I can see that there are many other faces also.
Sir, we have Dr. Meera Shiva also there, the international public health expert. So, ma'am,
Hello,
we
Meera.
can have you.
He is our Didi and a source of inspiration to all the health activists in India.
Yeah.
I was forced to travel with her to all across the world.
No, my video is not working, but thank you very much, Dr. Ekbal, for sharing and remembering so many of our people who are not with us anymore, but who had contributed so much to our thinking. And, you know, the sense of solidarity and support, you know, that sometimes when you're doing things and you feel you're all alone and, you know, the tidal wave is against you because the medical mafia and the medical industrial complex is huge. And so solidarity from those who are thinking in the same way and working for the larger public good, it gives so much energy. You know, it's not just intellectual and emotional, but for resilience, for ups and downs. And thank you very much for digging up all those photos and all the publications and you saved these. So please save more. And the fact that you're remembering all these, which is very good. You must have eaten a lot of fish when you were small. So they say that is good for memory or Brahmi. You know, someone was asking for indigenous medicine, but Dr. Zafarullah Chaudhary really, David Sonder, David Werner, Dr. Hafton Mahler, all these people, I'm saying how much they contribute. Dr. Ole Hansen. By the way, 24th May was Dr. Ole Hansen's day when we commemorate as Anti-Hazardous Drugs Day, which we added hazardous policies, hazardous technologies, anything hazardous, even hazardous people. You know who I'm meaning, you know. Like at this particular point of time, I think the whole world, and you mentioned neoliberalism, many people did not understand what role it had to play in international health, in the governance, and even in the question of pandemic treaty, some of the clauses being put. So okay, I should say thank you, because probably I should give chance for others to speak. So Dr. Ekbal, thank you very, very much once more. And thank you for Medico Friend Circle and Anand Zakaria and the whole team, Jagdishan and the Kerala team. More strength to you, and more writing and more research. And many young people have a lot to do. There's a lot of challenges. More strength to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. So, if participants, if you have any query, please either post a comment or raise your hand. Or if any things to share with the team also, please
Hannah,
come
I
forward.
think Dr. Michael Galvin has raised a hand.
Yes.
Sir, please.
Can you hear me? Yeah. So yeah, thanks for that wonderful talk, and thanks for allowing me to join. And listening to Dr. Meera has given me courage to say something, because I sat behind her at an MFC in Sevagram in 2020, I think it was. And yeah, anyway, so my question is, there's been much talk about solidarity and about energy. Mira was just talking about the energy that comes from people, like-minded people meeting and sharing ideas and so on. And I've just spent 4 weeks recently in India and attending the MFC and the Barefoot Academy of Governance in Tribal Health Initiative in City-Lingi and Jamchetnamanch, Bokaro in Jharkhand. So I had an amazing 4 weeks. But so one of the things Michael Marmot featured quite prominently in Dr. Ekbal's talk, and there's a nice photograph of him, and there was a reference to his book, The Health Gap and the Status Syndrome, and that prompts me to what seems to me to be because it's become very prominent in my thinking, because
You are muted.
Sir, I think
Michael is muted. Yeah.
Oh, so I was referring to Michael Marmot's the health syndrome, the status syndrome, where he talks about the importance of the brain and sense of autonomy and self, of control over your own destiny, if you like, and the importance in that of full employment. And there I'm thinking about the M.N. Rieger and Jean Drèze and his work, and during the pandemic, there was a group that formed of female scholars, and they rapidly became a global movement. I've talked about it to Suresh. I think Suresh is here. Well, there is a Suresh. I think it's the Suresh from the global. Yeah, it is from the Barefoot Governance. I mentioned to him about Isabel Ferreras and the other female scholars so I'm just wanting to make a plug for that, because what I wonder if Dr. Ekbal would mention, or what do you think about the importance or the feasibility of solidarity of medics and non-medics I'm thinking particularly between the UK and India, but much wider, and how, to what extent can that reinforce the role in each of our countries on political leaders who seem to be blind to the issues. So I'm going to stop there. Sorry, thanks for allowing me to go on so long.
PHM Global is a good platform where all these international communications can be established. In fact, it's a good platform where these communications can be established. But personally, for the last few meetings, I was not attending the World Health Assembly. But there is tremendous scope for solidarity being established. And what is happy, but I'm very much satisfied being an activist, is that I have also worked in other domains in Kerala. But I don't see such a solidarity and comradeship in any other domain. Education, I have worked in education, so many other areas. But here I found that in spite of ideological differences, there are certain common agreeable issues where people come together and fight for it. So therefore, I am very optimistic about the People's Health Movement. Now that so many youngsters, because this was not there in 1974, the first meeting was held. Now I think the youngsters have come in large numbers. It is not only doctors and health workers. There are other political activists, social activists, so-called paramedicals, health workers, etc. in this forum. It is not that. In fact, doctors get asked to get declassed. to be a real health activist, you have to get what can be called a declassed. So that declassing takes place when you work in this movement. That is what happened to me when I met the MSc.
Sir, it's 5 minutes only 5 minutes remaining for us.
Yeah.
And Dr. Sairo Philip is raising her hand.
Yeah, she should talk.
Sairo, madam.
Thank you. I think we stand on the shoulders of giants, and thank you, sir, for sharing the legacy. I first found Medicare Friends Circle Bulletin in Kottayam Medical College when I was doing PG. I want to share that, I mean, even that volume can touch, that small newsletter, I think. It used to touch us, whatever was being written. Second thing I want to tell Ekbal sir is a thank you, because you are the person who told community medicine people that there is a space in decentralized health planning where we have a role. And thank you for that. And I believe that, even now believe that people matter in, if you want to make changes in the community. And maybe talking to Ahana also, Ahana, the community medicine community is enshrined. When you work with the community, things happen. And working with the community is not that easy. There should be years to build their trust, years to mobilize people. But it is worth the challenge. And one observation, one thing which I was just considering, the next generation, I don't know, the previous generation, they used to come together in the community, talk about the common issues. Now, will that strategy work again, or should we go for other modes? That's what I wanted to share.
Thank you.
ma'am. That was very informative. And again, I said that's an inspirational new thought that you are instilling into it. And we are very blessed to have you all here and to have a word with the eminent personalities. That's very blessing. And sir, one more question is there from Dr. Aparna Patmanabhan. Madam is asking how to speed up the public health research dissemination. Many times the delay is happening at the IRC and IEC, then also from the government side also. So how to go about it, or how to take it to the next level is what she says.
Of course, people like Jayakishan should respond to that, because I am not in the academic field now. In fact, actually, I was also the chairperson to prepare a document for establishing the medical university in Kerala. Right. That was one of the demand by the people's health. And finally, it turned out that many who are acting in the health movement were members of the committee that actually prepared the project report for the medical university in Kerala, the health university. And it has come, but I think, and some of us are still related to this university, I think that the university should give leadership to do research, further research activities.
And so we have Vasantara ma'am also there as a participant. So ma'am, please share a few words.
To the previous question, I have a comment. Can you hear me? I'm Jagadishan speaking from.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
To the previous question on dissemination of research details and all.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
I know that many very senior MFC members like Anand Fatke and all, they always call or they always see Medical Friends Circle even as a open university of health and related areas. So that way, I think even the public health movements and in this current era, the e-forums or the web online forums or the WhatsApp groups can, to some extent, serve this purpose. And even MFC has a e-forum, e-group, and in which people post their papers, their queries, their clarifications, and also it's in fact this type of people's health movement can take some role in that part also.
Thank you, sir. Now it's time to, yes, we have Vasundhara ma'am with us. Ma'am, over to you, ma'am.
Thanks for letting me speak in the last minute. I've already put it on the comment,
pleasure,
but I continuously feel that, whatever is discussed on platforms like MFC or even say an NFHS data, or there are articles on advocacy, which really don't go to the community. So I think it's also our onus to simplify all that and take it back to the community so that they start thinking about it. Similarly, explaining even physiology of illnesses, prevention of illnesses in a very serious and focused way, including from school level. I know only a handful of people who actually start this kind of critical thinking at school level, not just looking at their dental hygiene or eyes and HB levels, but also starting, even for example, drugs and usage of drugs and antimicrobial resistance. And there's so many things that are kept only to the physicians community. And I feel that the people's participation can be improved by taking all this information to the community in a simplified manner. I mean, how many articles, health-related articles, are there in other languages other than English, really? All the relevant information. So just a comment, because Mr. Jagdishan brought this up, like improving people's participation. So I thought this is what I experience in my rural, or when I'm in the rural area, especially in central India, that there's so much gap that can be filled. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. It's now time to wind up. So before winding up, I would like to thank Dr. Ekbal sir to enlighten us with the people's movement vision and about the milestones that they have gone through, and sensitizing us into this MFC as well as. So I would like to inform the participants about the coming sessions also, that we are planning to have the sessions on every Thursdays from 7:30 to 9 p.m. So the next session is on June 30th. That is on the next, that is coming Thursday next week. Topic for next week is critical perspectives in need-based medical education in India. And we have the speakers Anand Sakaria, Srimati, and Praveen Singarayar. And then the next week, that is on June 20th or 20th, Thursday also we have session. That is on role of healthcare providers, healers or predators, by Amar Jasani, editor, Indian Journal of Medical Ethics. That's a few updates. And the rest also we are coming on June 27th also, and July also we have sessions. So that's about for the day. So thank you once again. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Ekbal sir, Jagdishan sir, Suresh sir, and all. So happy to be a part of this. So coming week also, we are so enthusiastic to be into this.
Thank you.